Next chapter. Okay, so this chapter is the size of the Leviathan goes on expanding despite the country's recent commitment to downsizing and right sizing. So, what do you understand by Leviathan? Leviathan. See, Leviathan is a term used to describe the tendency of the administration machinery to expand itself for any reason or without any reason to show its powerfulness and influence capacity. But administration in government characterized by the red tape, rigidity, insensitivity, and historically bureaucracy is social invention preferred during the industrial revolution and managerial industrial. But it is an impersonal, routinized structure where legitimized authority rests in office and not in the person of the incumbent. But there are many malfunctioning in the bureaucracy. It cannot be impartial, there is no sense of belongingness, devotion, it is routinized, resist to change, buck passing, empire building, duplication of efforts, waste of resources, inertia are other dysfunctional of the bureaucracy. So the greatest danger of bureaucracy is that it is enormously strong and evade accountability. And under the chalk of democracy, it has thriven and grown until it something seems likely to devour its creator. So Lord Hewart characterized the power and authority of bureaucracy as new despotism and jeopardizing even the liberty of the citizen. So despite the country's large-scale efforts to curtail down at the ever-growing size of Leviathan, it has managed to grow and expand its influence on almost every nook and corner. Or the next question, a distinctive feature of the Indian administration since independence has been the noticeable efforts undertaken to make the administration system effectively reach and respond to citizen grievance. So we want a administrative system which is respond to the citizen grievance. In the Indian system, the available remedies against the administrative acts might be grouped under administrative, legislative and judicial head. The administrative remedy against the illegal exercise of power or abuse of authority are the departmental review both on complaints made by citizen or injured civil servant or initiative of the senior themselves. The government has also established the Office of Central Vigilance Commission to eliminate the corruption and malaise in the civil service. But the legislative remedy are the various parliamentary devices including the committees which are the functioning of the executive is reviewed in the House of Parliament. This information is elected from the executive like question hour estimate committee not only can suggest change in the structure of the various administrative department and agencies but can even propose alternative policy to the parliament functions which are performed by the ombudsman in the Denmark. This committee have also on occasion performed such functions as are performed in the Scandinavian countries. And the legislative for the institution of Lokpal, Lokayukta were introduced in parliament. And some of state has able to establish Lokayukta, Uplokayukta, but with minimum success level. But Lokpal at the center is still under pipeline. Okay. So this is how we are going to try to noticeable efforts to undertaken to make administration system effectively reach the response to the citizen grievance. So we will give the example of these kind of parameters. Okay. Now next question is what? Next question is NGO are the fast replacing the government in the implementation of large number of program. So in India, number of developmental programs are undertaken every year for welfare administration and especially oriented towards the poor people. But it has been seen the poorest rural communities and the urban slum dwellers have been left out in rural development, and it reflects the inadequate and inefficiency on the part of government administration machinery. It also reflects that government cannot undertake all the program with equal efficiency. It needs proper attention has to be paid to agency and people involved in the implementation evaluation of the plan, and proper feedback mechanism has also established. But after all the function of implementation, the largest part of the government and government efforts at the administration and implementing the policies is tackling problem of resolving the conflict. Okay, so many and diverse agencies of implementation constantly collide with each other and discover overlapping of responsibility. A variation in the policy direction and actual implementation may rise due to the factors such as conflicting direction and ineffective communication. Implementing the public policy often receive conflicting instruction from more than one sources, And again, limited competence of administrative capacity. Administration sometimes do not have the knowledge as how to do what the policy required then to do. In such situation, administration may experiment with variety of policy of their own design or choice, or simply may not act. Also, sometimes inadequate resources make administration handicapped properly. The most critical in implementing policy is staff. It is not only the size of the staff but also their training which is crucial in carrying out the policy. So staffing problem are especially acute in new program and in program designed to regulate widely dispersed or highly technical activity. The staff must also have access to information about the issue of hand. Next interest or the pressure group play an important role making and policies, and thus effective implementation of plans program have been the weakest link in the chain of entire planning program. Assistance of other institution outside the government which should be impartial and dedicated, and the role of these small or big voluntary agency in the basic campaign should be the provide participatory piece of equation. Okay, now next question is the generalist character of IAS. Is its chief characteristics as well as its chief criticism also. Okay, see the generalist character. The issue of generalist versus specialist is a burning issue. And with the advancement of technology and increasing complexity, specialists are needed to cater all the new emerging problem. But in the Indian conditions, where a generalist has till now fulfilled his duty perfectly and impartiality, it is said that generalist administration is much better suited. The strongest support for the generalists come from another generalist, political executive. It is believed that politicians are comfortable understand that advice better which is given by the generalist. Also, the generalist administration, because of their long experience in the different department and field, are better positioned to give rational advice. And also, his appreciation of role of pressure group, political party, and press make him an advisor possessing the much valuable practical wisdom. It is believed that having no vested interest any particular branch of specialization, generalist administration can more objective and impartial. He can see things comprehensively and give holistic view. But still generalist character seems to be obsolete nowadays because this is era of specialization, that new technology second era. So administration has also changed substantially. Now virtually like in every field, whether economy, social, the complexity increasing, and IAS cannot give rational advice. This is reason that more and more specialists are getting entry into the administration. The issue is solved by the harmonious blend between of two, and the IAS due to the better overall perspective can be had, but the substantive work must be diverted to the specialist. So this is how you will give the answer. Okay. Next one is by taking some office out of the jurisdiction of Office of Profit Act. Office of Profit Act. Government of India has doubly assured the public minds of its duplicity. So by taking some offices of the jurisdiction of Office of Profit Act, the Government of India has doubly assured the public mind of its duplicity. So the Union Government passed the Office of Profit Act 2006. Which clarified the provision of disqualification of member of parliament on the basis of holding any office of profit, while remaining on the post of member of parliament, for the government have been accused of saving some of its party members from disqualification. The reason for that is that many of the MP belonging to the ruling party were holding office of profit, which is against the provision of Article 102 of the Constitution. So due to which they were under fire from the opposition, and the Office of Profit Act seems to be step to save those MP. Okay, this move was not taken by the government in right spirit, and the opposition as well as the public opinion accused the government of duplicity. It was said that at one hand the government promised to give the transparent, corruption free, accountable administration, and on the other hand is using immoral means of help to the MP. Okay, and regain the seats. The main reason of the discontent between the opposition and public was that this move was clearly showing that the government was using its authority and power in a wrong way, and it was clear example or might is right in democracy. Thus there are clear distinction between what the government say and what the government does. Okay, so this is how we can discuss this. The next one is critically evaluate the policy of the union government with regard to the welfare of women and children. So women and children. So there are been a number of very ambitious program for the government of both center and state level. But the number of major inadequacy in the administration, it is imperative that these inadequacy are done away and fruit of welfare program reach to the women and children fully. There have been inadequacy in the fund. This has been very restricting impact of the efficacy of the welfare program. Proper adequate amount of fund should be made available to the office in order to weaker section of women and children. Also there is a big complaints of red tape, hierarchy. This is a lots of wastage and this should be countered. So the element of delay should be removed and the various level of official hierarchy should expedite the whole process so that the target group are able to avail themselves in the program. There is a problem of corruption and this result is lot of siphoning of amounts of money. Means for the weaker section, it's imperative that check the soon possible so that the full benefits of welfare program trickle down and vast sum of money finds their way into the pockets of unscrupulous officials. Okay. Now next is, what measures have been taken by the union and state government for the welfare of women and professional of sex? There has been a number of various ambitious programs launched by the government. Recently, Human Resource Development HRD Ministry Immoral Trafficking Amendment Act 2005. The bill protects sex workers from exploitation hands of police and clients. It is likely to introduce in cabinet. Now 400 sex workers are arrested, 90% of them booked soliciting. The amendment also empower police to proceed against the client visiting the sexual exploitation. The police cannot remove the prostitute but throw easy on sex worker. The amendment proposes strict punishment for those running prostitution rackets. Now section 5b make human trafficking repeal punishable. Trafficking also be booked under the prevention of money laundering and the assets classified. Those running a prostitution rackets will face minimum 2-year imprisonment and fine 10,000 and minimum fine is 2 lakh every time if our offense repeated. And this new legal amendment that seek to be punished client not good a move. It will increase public brutality. Okay, now next is what concrete step taken by the union government to protect child labor. So child labor in India is one of the most important problem, and child labor are exploited, exposed hazardous work condition, paid a pittance for their long overworks, and government of India and state government have taken many concrete steps. The first act to regulate the employment of child labor, their hours should be like factory act is there. Commission was established 1929 to fix the minimum age of child employment. Recommendation for Child Labor Act was passed prohibiting the employment of children below the age of 14. The Factory Act was provided some safeguard, and Parliament enacted Child Labor Act planning the employment of children in certain jobs, regulating the condition of work, hazardous occupation. Juvenile Justice Act is superseding different children's. And India has ratified the ILO convention relating to the child labor. And through notification, Scheduled Child Labor Act 1986 been substantially enlarged, bringing total number of occupation process listed Schedule 13 and 51. National policy on child labor formulated to protect the interest of children, make the development program benefit of child labor, and project plans are also there. National child labor projects have been rehabilitated. The Child Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs was approved continuous scheme. National Child Labor Project was there. CCEA also approved increased number of such projects. Government commitment to address the problem of child labor. A national agenda for the governance where it says no child remains illiterate, hungry, lack of medical care. Measure will be taken to eliminate the child labor. On the 2006 child labor has been banned. Okay. So what kind of answers we are going to give? This was like that. Do you agree globalization, privatization and liberalization, LPG policy are going to change the very fabric of Indian administration? So globalization involved the greater role in the play economic reform. Globalization is now New phenomena. It reached the height 1814 to 1914, and because of protest from the rich country ended shortly before the World War I. Globalization increased the demand of highly skilled worker. Globalization nothing but process of attaining economic development. Major role in process of economic development. Liberalization is deregulation, essentially involve greater role of market functioning institution, and is both about the easing bureaucratic procedure and license and approval. Various aspects of deregulation include the price deregulation, assets deregulation, product deregulation, earning control, leading the investment regulation. Okay. And since Narsingham Rao government, many important and far-reaching decisions have been taken deregulation of economy. These can be broadly put under the three heads. First, removal, reduction of restriction on private sector. Second, opening up economy, international competition, and attracting foreign capital investment. Third, reforming the capital market and banking in order to introduce latest technology with a view to give a further impetus to industry scheme and re-endorsement of the capacity and liberalization. So the government granted automatic increase in those industry unit, achieve economic sales, and 49% rise in capacity due to modernization. Liberalization plays major role in process of economic development. Privatization, the industrial policy was diagnosed in the problem of public enterprises reserve only 8 industry, and even there would be no ban for private sector. So reciprocally, the public sector will also be allowed entry into area not reserved for it. It's like coal, mineral, oil, mining, some activities, railway. Government is allowing private industry to the extent possible. The statement have observed that the government will review the existing portfolio of public investment, and this review will be respect industry on low technology, small non-strategic areas, and low nil social consideration, public purpose, and area which private has developed sufficient expertise and resources. So privatization would be like through disposing the sick public enterprises, privatization management practice consequent upon the disinvestment and equity. So as a conclusion, we can say globalization, liberalization, and privatization play major role in the process of economic development. Economic reform can change economic structure and not the whole administration. So globalization, liberalization, private policy can change economic structure and fabric of Indian administration. And major challenge is in the 21st century is the economic setup and bureaucracy, and emerge as a defender of the citizen rights and privileges. So emergent administration system ought to be client oriented, public oriented, with its major focus empowering the people. More particularly, administration as a cutting edge level should develop a positive, empathetic, and helpful attitude toward the common man. This is we want. Next is after independence, despite the change in socio-economic and political milieu, the basic feature of colonial impact and on administration continue to exist in our administrative system. So change in socio-economic and political milieu of feature colonial impact on administrative continues to exist in the administrative system. So there has been continuity in the Indian administration after independence. From the pattern existing before the independence, all the same the political background and the psychological atmosphere and objective administration have changed. And the most important reason continuity was the sudden and peaceful transfer of power of British ruler to the Indian. Another reason was the lack of refugee migrants between the two past partition country, India and Pakistan, partly due to the communal violence and partly due to willing option section of population settle our country. Most of the administration got depleted and Muslim, European, civil servant resigns. So this was neither the resources nor the people to set up new administration machinery. A stable and well-founded administration organization comprising department, civil service was the critical needs of our. So the then existing administration framework continued after independence. The post-independence administration in India was able also due to the continued tenure of public service, which were in office before independence. The Indian Civil Service and Indian Police Service were the two All India service. Besides, the member of Central and Provincial Service also continued. The Indian Civil Service are most pivotal and its members occupied position in Executive and Governor General, Provisional Governor after independence under the Indian Independence Act. Other officers all India service who continued in the officer become officers in the government. After independence, ICS was replaced by IAS, and much more charter like All India service has changed after independence and India become democracy. The officials of the independent India no more rules imbibe and democratic temper of the polity. This marked a change from 1947 seal. So, the importance factor of the change in Indian administration after independence in comparison with the before are advent of democracy, compulsion of development, welfare state, the elements of stability, continuity of sub-department, and smooth introduction of new public service, which characterized by the political impartiality, selection on the merits, integrity, commitment to the constitutional objectivity, and influence of organization features such as hierarchy and written words, red tapeism, old-time manuals still persist. Thus, feature of colonial impact of administration continue to exist in our administrative system. So, this was the chapter for today.